All right. Well, let's just jump right into this. What's up, Zach?
Let's go, baby.
We're still trying to figure out this streaming thing, but I think we've made advancements from last week. But this is officially the betting booth. That is our name for now. It could change week to week. We'll find out. But
It could change.
Jack
Yeah.
Barron, professional poker player, restaurant mogul, and I'm Jared Sandler, broadcaster of sports things. And I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say the sport I broadcast most while doing a betting thing, but I don't
Uh-oh.
know. Not that people don't know, I guess. If you're following, you probably know that I broadcast for the Rangers. So if I get a slap on the wrist, I get a slap on the wrist. Uh, all right. Hey, so
I
before we
just lost
go
you in the
into
middle of that, but I can hear you now.
you got me?
Yeah, I
Sweet.
can hear you now. Can you hear me?
I got you. Uh,
Okay, good.
before
I
we
made this
before
whole like Vegas background for Zoom that I was like really pumped about, and now you changed the stream link for me. So now I'm just back in this little office. So
we guys had a Dirk jersey.
we got the Dirk jersey, we got the Luka jersey in here. This is where Jamie allows me to put all of my sports memorabilia, so it doesn't go in the main room. So this is my little man cave in the back.
I love it. Well, I'm just in the middle of Nana's house while my wife and I wait for our house to be ready following
Oh
some
man.
construction. So if you see Nana walking in the background, then it's not a new girlfriend or anything for me. All right, so week 11. Uh, Before we get into week 12, I want to get into week 11. I want to ask you something specifically that I think will help people understand maybe a little bit of the nuance of betting on sports and football. But we talked throughout the week. I like this, I like that. I think I'm on this, I might be on that. And then I think it was Sunday morning, you sent me a text and you said you were going to stay away from two games you were considering because of the line movement. And I think if I'm not mistaken, it was the Houston Tennessee game. You were thinking
Right.
of playing Houston, you stayed away. Tampa Buffalo, you were thinking of playing Tampa, you stayed away. And both of those stayaways ended up being the right decision. You would have been a loser on both of those. What was it that led you to go down that path?
Right. Two games specifically, the Buffalo game, we saw a lot of public money coming on Tampa late. So you see a lot of public dollars coming on public late, and the line I think moved from 5.5 to 6.5 going Buffalo's way. So you would think with all this money coming in on Tampa that the line would either stay the same, move to 5, but you saw it move to 6.5 like right before game time, and I was like, this either some really sharp dollars are coming in big on Buffalo, and they probably know something, have a good read on this game, or Vegas wants more money on Tampa. And that's in my mind. If Vegas is begging you to take a side, it's usually a good idea to stay away or take the other side. I played Buffalo live in that game a couple of times just because the way the game was playing out, I just looked like Buffalo was going to pull away, and they did. The Houston one was similar, where I talked to a bunch of buddies in Vegas that they were playing Tennessee. I didn't like Tennessee all week. Then I saw the line move last minute, a little bit Tennessee's way. And it was just, if I'm not feeling like I'm getting value in the number, I'm going to stay away. So when I look at the slate, I'm usually just looking for value in the numbers. I make my initial reads. I talk to people that I trust, and then I look for line movement and where the dollars are coming in. And if I don't like the line movement, it's easy to just stay away and not have to sweat it out with those games. The Houston game, I mean, it could have been an easy cover for Houston. They got backdoored late by a bad Tennessee team, gave up a silly touchdown late. They could have easily covered that game, and I probably would have been kicking myself for not taking Houston. It ended up working out, but just didn't want to sweat it out based on the line movement I was seeing. And if I don't feel like I'm getting value, I'll look Sunday morning, and there's a few games this week that I probably won't play till Sunday. I'll look for the line movement between now and then. And if I'm in the middle of the game, I'll just stay away. So just want to be pretty locked in on the games that I like. You don't have to play every game. Like you can, there's no reason you need to play every single game on the slate. Just play the games you like, where you're getting the most value. So I think last week, really, it was a tough week to start on because I looked at the slate and I was like, even picking 3 games, I was like, not super, super strong on a ton of games. This week is like a salivating looking at the slate. if you're a professional bettor and you looked at this slate, it's a dream scenario. There's just a lot of overvaluing by the books this week that you can find value in. So it's tougher for me this week to pick 3 games. So we're gonna break that down.
So yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're going to each draft 3, and then we'll in response to the other selections, are we gonna fade? Or are we gonna tail? Might even give you an underdog play at the end if we have time. And we're doing this live thing. So if you have any comments or have any questions, you can post, and we'll try and answer some questions along the way too.
Hell yeah.
Before we turn the page on week 11, beyond what we just discussed, how do you feel like the weekend went? What were you like feeling great about that played out that way? What was your biggest miss? I'll share mine as well.
Right. I gave out 3 picks on here. I gave out Cleveland, which was my biggest play. Cleveland ended up covering, so that was a very profitable game for me. It was a scary game when you get Shador in the second half and you're scared about getting backdoored there at the end when you got plus 7.5, plus 8.5 for a lot of bets, and you have Shador with the ball down 7. You're thinking like, this guy can throw a pick 6. He can fumble it back in the end zone. He can do like, you just don't. You thought it was going to be Dylan Gabriel, and you get this guy that you just have no idea what you're going to get with that. So I was happy to get the cover there. I told everybody to play Packers 6.5. Again, this just shows like betting wise how key the numbers are. The half-point difference. If you got it at 7.5, you're a loser. If you get it at 7, you pushed. If you get 6.5, you're a winner. So in football, those half points, especially on the key numbers, 3, 3.5, 7, 7.5, those key numbers, it's huge when you get that value and you beat the market. So we beat the market on Packers. We got the 6.5. We got a W there. I got burned on the Raiders. Again, I'll play that spot every single time. When the game started, I was like, I can't believe I have money on this team. Like, this is a terrible spot. The Cowboys were fired up for the game. You saw the reasons you don't want to have money on bad teams and bad quarterbacks. But again, I'll play that spot. I had Rams money line, which got there. I played Rams. Overall, it was a profitable weekend. Went like 5-3. Wasn't a great weekend, but anytime you can turn profit, for the people that watched here, went 2-1. So again, profitable weekend. It wasn't a especially great weekend, but solid.
And I'm really lucky because I played Cleveland with you. I had an event that basically covered all of that 12 o'clock slate. Had I known that Shador was in the game, I would have been freaking. All I saw was like the score. I'm like, okay, I feel good about this. I feel good. I had no idea that Dylan Gabriel was out and Shador was in. Probably for the best. My big loss. I played Tampa. So and I had already played Tampa by the time I got your text that you were gonna stay away. So I was hoping it actually it looked okay just based on the scores. Right, that was a crazy, wacky back and forth game, but then Josh Allen had a superhuman performance. But yeah, I mean, what you said about Green Bay brings me to this question I want to ask because I know a lot of people wrestle with this decision. Sometimes it's a sucker's play, but maybe times it's not. Do you ever buy up or buy down, depending on if you want to maybe play a favorable line or maybe a game would be a stay away, but hey, you can buy that half point and maybe it would get you to play, or do you always stay away from that because of the added juice?
There might be rare occasions where on a key number, if I really, really, really like a side and I just want to get a better number, I will buy a hook. In general, I try to stay away from buying hooks. Just when you're paying the minus 120 juice, you're paying 20% juice, you're paying 25% juice. Some of these books I've seen people pay 30% juice to buy a big hook on 6.5 to 7 or 3.5, buy it down to 3. And you have to be winning at such an insane clip to make that profitable in the long run. So yeah, it might help you out in that one situation, but in the amount you have to be winning over time for it to be worth it to buy the hook, it's usually not worth it. There are special occasions where I really, really like a side and I just want to feel safer about it, and I will buy it, but I try to stay away from paying more than the juice already is. It's hard to beat the juice. You have to be winning at a 55% clip, 60% clip to beat the juice. So now you're having to be winning at a 70% clip to beat when you're buying those paying more. So try to stay away from it. There may be a special occasion where I buy down, or usually I'll just try to find like waiting longer in the week or try to get it early so I get the better number before I have to buy any juice.
And that's a part of the art of this, right? Is lines come out Sunday night, especially with teams that played earlier that day. You see a line and you look and say, man, this is the best line I'm going to get. I got to jump on this. Or you see a line, you're like, hey, I think based on maybe this guy's health status or whatever it might be, I'm going to wait, right? So that's a part of what goes into this. Now, we're going to give you our picks for week 12, and we didn't discuss this before, but I kind of want to get, we have both made plays already, and we've made plays on games that have already seen line movement. So do you want to give plays based on the line that someone can get right now, or do you want to give it based on where we maybe got it earlier in the week? I feel like my gut's telling me where the line is now, because someone watching, I don't know that it benefits them a ton. But I also don't, I want to make sure people understand how lines can move. Because for instance, I'll tell you right now, if we did this Monday morning, I would tell you, jump on Seattle. Now, I got Seattle at -12.5. They're on the road against Tennessee. I think you can still get that number, but I have seen it go up to 13.5. So that's just an example. But I think let's give the lines you can get right now. Does that sound about right?
I think you should do it. Yeah, we should do it the lines you can get right now. We have some unique situations which we're going to have in the NFL, but especially this week, where you don't know who the quarterback's going to be in a lot of games. There's, I think, 3 games where you don't know who the starter is going to be. So if you get it now or you get it Sunday, it's going to change based on who's playing. Cincinnati game is a key example. I got Cincinnati early in the week at +8.5. It's now at +6, +6.5 because people think Burrow is going to play. So you're going to,
I've seen it at +5.5 too, Zach. I mean, it's it's dropped.
Yeah. But then we could give out Cincinnati. If you gave out, I like Cincinnati at whatever the number is actually. But if I gave out, let's say I gave out Cincinnati +6 today, and then all of a sudden Burrow doesn't play and it's Flacco, and then now you're getting a completely different number on Sunday. You're getting +7.5, probably +8. But I think giving the number what it is right now and just giving our read so they could, if they want to play it right now. I like to tell people on the lines where I think they should be patient on, if I think the line's going to move the other way or has a chance of moving the other way. So I think, like you said, telling them what it is right now makes the most sense.
Okay, well, I'll let you start. We'll trade off drafting our 3 favorite, and then we'll let you know whether we're going to ride along with that pick or fade it. But I'll let you go first. What's your number 1 play here?
So number 1 play, I just mentioned the game. Number 1 play, and this is going to be a theme of mine this week, of looking for teams that are overvalued by the betting market. There's a few games where I think the teams are overvalued by the betting market, and the number 1 team that I think is overvalued right now is New England. New England is 8-2. They've won 8 games in a row. You've got Drake May, who's leading the MVP. It's him and Stafford right now for the race for MVP. It's Coach of the Year, Mike Vrabel, who's given the team an identity and this, us against the world attitude. We'll go for it on 4th down. We'll, do things that, might get ridiculed. Mike Vrabel doesn't give a shit, which I have so much respect for Vrabel and giving that team an identity. ESPN's power ratings has New England as like the 3rd best team in the NFL. But when you dive into the numbers, New England's, they've played the worst schedule, the easiest schedule in the NFL. They've played the 32nd toughest schedule in the NFL. If you look at diving the numbers, are like the 15th best offense, 12th best defense. You wouldn't expect that for a team that's 8-2. This is like the time to sell New England. You're getting a way too big a number. They're probably going to beat Cincinnati, but getting a touch. I got it early in the week at 7.5, 8.5. I played it again at 7.5. Now we're hearing that it's Burrow. I don't care who the quarterback is for Cincinnati. I think it's going to be value on Cincinnati. You're getting a team that's, again, looking at the betting market, you want to look for teams that are way too valuable. I still think with Burrow right now, 70% of the bets that are coming in are on New England. So regardless of who the quarterback is, the public, I just lost an AirPod. These new AirPods are really, they're supposed to be like better, but they just fall out my ear every single time.
I hope this is not some sort of metaphor for how this game's going to go.
Oh yeah. This is maybe not good. I've got some good stats for you on this game. I've got teams on an 8-game winning streak since 2010. They cover 33% on the next game on the road. So New England's on an 8-point winning streak. You look at all the metrics, they found a way to win these games against bad teams. Cincinnati doesn't have Jamar Chase, so you're seeing the line maybe not move as much. The public liking New England a little more because you're getting the Jamar Chase news. But being a touchdown favorite on the road, or almost a touchdown favorite now, 6, 5.5, 6, is just too many points. I'm going to take the value here with Cincinnati. Going to ride this play every time. I do think New England, they're a playoff team. They've got – I believe in Drake May. I believe in Vrabel, but you can't be this big of a favorite. And I've got some magical numbers on this game being more than a touchdown. And if I get Burrow, I got 7.5 and 8.5, I'm so happy. But I still love it at 6. So I would play it now. I think there is the scary part is if you play it now, you may get Flacco somehow on Sunday. But based on the line movement, the books all think Burrow is going to play. They wouldn't make it this line, this number, and let you get the Patriots at 5.5 or something. If it was Flacco, I don't think so. Love Cincy here. Love selling the Patriots at their peak right now. So,
yeah, I agree. So you got it at 8.5 right off the bat. I got it at 7.5, but I would still play it at 5.5, 6. I just think and you mentioned some of the numbers, the trends, and sometimes I think trends are I don't know what it means because it's different coaches, different players, but I do like, the trend you mentioned about the 8 straight wins. To me, these guys are human, right? And sometimes you read the press clippings, maybe the game just doesn't mean as much to you as it does the other team. I don't think Cincinnati's making the playoffs, but I don't know that they don't think that, especially if Joe Burrow is coming back. So they're going to be incredibly motivated. I think with New England, this is a league full of parity. Unless you just absolutely suck, right? Unless you're the Tennessee Titans, and every year there's a team or two, they're ass, right? None of what is normal matters. For the most part, 90% of the league is relatively competitive to where if you are a good team and you go on the road to face a lesser team, it's not a gimme, right? That's why you don't, in college, you see 20-point spreads, 30-point, you don't see that in the NFL. The fact that you get an almost 2-touchdown spread in a game that's mind blowing. And so I just think New England going on the road, what you said, they've won 8 straight. They don't have the division wrapped up, but they are in some level of control, right? They're 2 games up on Buffalo, or a game and a half up on Buffalo. So I agree with you. I like this for Cincinnati. So I'm gonna trail you with that one. So I think that's a good play. I'm gonna go.
One more thing on that game. One more thing on that game, just quickly on New England. The ESPN Power Ratings rating 3rd, whatever that means. If you think about New England playing on a neutral field against teams, and if they'd be favored or not, I can probably name 7 teams that they wouldn't be favored against. They wouldn't be favored against the Rams. They wouldn't be favored against the Chiefs. They wouldn't be favored against the Seahawks. They wouldn't be favored against the Ravens. They wouldn't be favored against the Colts, I don't think. I mean, you can look at their record and the top of the division and how well they're playing Drake May MVP and get sucked into this, that they're going to be a Super Bowl team. Yeah, they could run good in the playoffs and ball bounces their way and make a deep run, but they're not, from a betting perspective, to be this big of a favorite on the road against, a competitive team is just too much. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, my first pick, I'm going to go with a team that is a pretty big favorite. And I think we both faded them last week and won, and that's the Detroit Lions. We both played Philadelphia, laying 2.5. Now, Philadelphia covered. I'll be honest with you. I feel good because they did, but Detroit went 0 for 5 on 4th down. And if they get one of those 5, because a lot of those 4th downs were, a couple of them were in the red zone. The others were middle of the field to where you're at least in, I don't know, if Jake Bates was going to be taking any 50-yard field goals with how Detroit likes to, play their cards offensively. But they were in that, that positioning in the field where if you don't get it, Philadelphia has good field position. If you do get it, you're now in a scoring position, whether you want to take that field goal or not. They didn't get any of them. And we can talk Philadelphia later. Maybe that Philadelphia-Dallas game will come up, but that Detroit game's really interesting. They didn't get any of those fourth downs. Philadelphia deserves some credit, right? There's some regression that's going to happen, though. Detroit's too good offensively. Here's the key for me. They're back home. They're indoors. They need this too. We talk about what's at stake here. The Giants aren't playing for anything. The Lions they're playing from behind in a division that they thought that they were going to win when the season started. And it's within reach, right? The Bears, the Packers, the Lions, all within a game of each other. So it's very typical Dan Campbell to make sure that points are on the board. The Lions are great after a loss. And not only are they great after a loss at just winning outright, they're great at covering, and they don't mess around either. They cover by pretty healthy margins. They're playing a really bad team. Jameis is fun, and Jameis was fine. He wasn't like typical Jameis against the Packers, right? The one interception he threw, it was arguably not his fault. But I just think, the one edge, I always think, what's the edge? The Giants have a good pass rush. They can't stop the run. Detroit can really run the ball well, and I think that neutralizes the pass rush. So I like Detroit. It's a big number at 10.5, but I like the Lions covering here.
Yeah, this is a rare occasion where I will follow a public side that's a double-digit favorite. The Lions are going to be a public side. I think almost 75% of the bets coming in are on the Lions, and they're a double-digit favorite. Rare that I would follow here, but for all the reasons we faded the Lions last week is the reasons to back them this week. We said Goff was bad outdoors. We said their road splits. They are coming off a blowout win against the Commanders. This week they're coming off a loss. They're indoors, coming off a loss. They have some crazy stats, Campbell and Goff, crazy stats on bounce-back games. 13 straight covers. 13 straight covers coming off a loss. That's insane. This team they bounce back every single time. You've got the coaching advantage, Campbell against an interim coach for the Giants. Like you said, the Giants can't stop the run. So very rare that I'm going to back a team with this big of a spread. That's a public darling, but it's just a great bounce back spot. And you said it; they need this game. They need this game. They're going to come out. Campbell's not going to let us foot off the pedal, and that's a reason. The double digits don't really scare me because they're just going to keep pounding the rock. He's not going to let off the gas. So, love this spot for the Lions. I'm in agreement with you.
All right, what's your next pick?
All right, this is where we get tough again. Tough pick again. I think this is the one you likely will pick more than my other one. So we're gonna go Steelers against Chicago, and getting the hook at 3 is a really key, important number here. You're gonna see some 2.5s out there. You're gonna see some 3s. The reason for that, we don't know if Rodgers is going to play. I thought it was definitely going to be Mason Rudolph, and now I'm hearing it could be Aaron Rodgers. I actually, from a betting perspective, I kind of hope it's Mason Rudolph because I hope I can get more of that 3 number, or that 3.5. I don't think you're getting that much of a drop-off with Mason Rudolph right now compared to Aaron Rodgers. You get a little bit more mobility. You get a guy who the team loves playing from. You saw it in the second half last week. The team rallies around Mason Rudolph. The Bears, again, selling high on a team that's overvalued. They've won 3 straight games by wins by 5 or less. Breaking down those games, they beat the Bengals in that crazy 47-42 game where they scored a touchdown nearly at the buzzer. They beat the Giants 24-20 when Dart got hurt in the second half. So they got Russell Wilson for the whole portion of the second half. They barely win the game. Last week, they barely beat the Vikings. They get a huge kickoff return late in the game. So they've pulled some magic out of their ass the last 3 weeks. Ben Johnson's a great coach and kind of masks a lot of their issues, but I still don't think they're a 7-3 football team. They're 70% of the money coming in is on the Bears, and this line's moving towards Pittsburgh. So getting a ton of value here on a game where I really think it should be a pick 'em. You're getting points, and I'm going to take the value here. Tomlin as a dog, we know all those splits about Tomlin as a dog. So love the Steelers here. I don't know who the quarterback's going to be. Like I said, you could wait on this one. If Rodgers doesn't play, I think you might be getting in that 3.5 number. And if you get the hook here, it's way better than getting the 2.5. So I'd wait for the threes. You might, if it is Rodgers, you might not get the 3. I'd probably still play it at 2.5, but I'd wait till Sunday or till Mason Rudolph gets announced and see if we can get that 3 number.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, I'm with you on that. You're right. That's a play that I'm making as well. I agree. I'm not too scared on who the quarterback's going to be, yeah, I mean the Bears. Like I went to USC. I love Caleb Williams. He hasn't been as good as I thought he would. Maybe he'll get there eventually. It's his first year in Ben Johnson's offense. But I follow a lot of Bears football, and as a Packers fan, I'm obviously invested in the Bears too. And they just find ways to win, but there's nothing about them that tells me like this is a really good team. I can't say they're not a good team because hey, they're 7-3. They're leading a really tough division. They're a good team. They're 7-3 with a -6 point differential though, which tells you, hey, maybe a little overvalued just in terms of like, does the record match the true ability? I'm not necessarily Vegas overvaluing them, but B, they play close games. That's what they do. And so,
Right.
it's just tough for me to buy into them as a favorite. Both sometimes these matchups, I think, is there a special teams advantage, but Chris Boswell's good kicker and Cairo Santos. I mean, Cairo Santos is basically, won the Bears a couple games just by having to make 3, 4, 5 field goals in a game because the Bears leave meat on the bone offensively. So I like this as well. I think, playing the number with Pittsburgh is the right play. And we've talked about before, not necessarily on this show, but just in general, Tomlin is a dog. That's
right.
where he makes
I think the record, I think the 7-3 just speaks to Ben Johnson and the difference they've had from coaches of late. I mean, he finds a way late. Some of the game time decisions he's making late in games. But they've been running, we call it from a poker perspective, we call it running good, like variance running, going your way for a long period of time. And it just doesn't keep happening. They've had a lot of big bounces in games go their way. And it usually the market evens itself out. Things balance out. Getting too many points here with the Steelers. So I'll take the value here while Chicago's a little bit overvalued by the public. I was surprised to see this much public money coming in on Chicago, but love to see it. Probably because they think Rodgers isn't going to play. That's why I would love it if it's Mason Rudolph. I really would. I'd probably hammer it a little bit more if we do get Mason Rudolph because I'll get a little bit more value on Pittsburgh. So.
All right, well, I'm going to go my next pick. There's some interesting games here. Kansas City, Indianapolis, the Cowboys and the Eagles. I'm not going to go with two good teams, though. I think I'm going to go my next pick. I'm going to go Arizona and Jacksonville, and I'm going to take Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona is getting 3 at home. And I don't know. If you watch the Jags have played 10 games. If you watch them and just casually watch, you didn't know the score, you didn't know the outcome, there's no way you would think that they were 6-4. And I said this on Monday. I think I was talking to someone about, some of the young quarterbacks, and Trevor Lawrence is in his 5th year. So I don't, is he young? I don't know. But at least with Caleb Williams, you see a ceiling that if he reaches it, it's like, wow, this could be special. Trevor Lawrence, when he was drafted, people thought he had that. That shine is long gone for me. Trevor Lawrence is not someone I want to trust. I don't know that Jacksonville's better than Arizona. And now they're having to go basically across country on the road. Arizona's the home team getting 3 here. I don't think it's a great matchup at all for Jacksonville. Arizona might get Trey Benson back. If they do, great. If not, whatever. Doesn't bother me that Marvin Harrison's out. We've seen Jacoby Brissett do just fine without him. I actually, you talk about rather having Rudolph over Rodgers for line value reasons. I'd rather have Brissett over Murray because I just think he's better.
Right.
So I'm going to go Arizona getting 3 points at home. They might be the better team straight up. I don't think they're 3 points worse. It's not a game that I'm going to really enjoy watching because this is some awesome football. It's just a game that I feel like there's some value with the Cardinals.
Man, people are going to think we conferred before this. We really did not speak at all or share picks before this, but we're in alignment. And this was actually probably the one I was going to give third. So this was a good draft pick by you. Jacksonville's third road game in 4 weeks, and the game before that was London. So basically four out of 5 road games where they're traveling. They're traveling from Florida, so they're going all over the country, LA, Arizona. They went to London. Like this, it adds up on you. Like you said, I think this game really should be a pick 'em. I don't think there's that much difference between these two teams. If you look at the games the Jags have won, last week, Trevor Lawrence threw for like 150 yards. The week before that, 119 yards. Like he's not lighting it up. They're not just going to be able to run the ball all over Arizona. And if you watch the Arizona-San Francisco game, the score wasn't really indicative of the game. Like Jacoby had a great game. San Francisco had multiple fluky touchdowns. They had a kickoff return touchdown. They had a defensive touchdown. So the score wasn't really indicative of the game. Jags are 1-3 against the spread as a favorite on the road this year. I'm with you selling Trevor Lawrence high. I don't know if he's the future quarterback of this team. I've never really believed. He never really jumps off the page when you watch the game. He just never really looks like he's going to be a long-term NFL quarterback for this team. You always expect him to take the next step, and he never really does.
He does too much dumb stuff.
Too much dumb stuff. And, for the playmakers that they have, they just never really, make those big plays. I thought Brian Thomas was going to have a breakout year this year off the year last year. He's kind of had a step back. Travis Hunter's out for the year now, so they don't have him. So, again, you're getting way too many points for an Arizona team. The public is pretty split on this game. I do think you should grab it at 3 now while you can. I do not think we will see it go to 3.5. I'd be shocked if you see it go to 3.5, but I could see it going to 2.5. So if you can get the 3 now, I would play it. There's all these splits. This is I know I like the historical weird trends, but there's all these splits about a team that blew a 14-point lead or blew a big lead in the fourth quarter and then wins the following week. The third week, it's like ridiculously bad against the spread. It's usually like so it was that Houston game. They were, division game. They blew a big lead. They're pissed off during the week. They come out, they kick the shit out of the Chargers. And then that third week is usually a drop off. So there's all sorts of splits about that if you want to look at some historical data. But again, this team shouldn't be that big of a favorite on the road against anybody. And an Arizona team that we like it with Jacoby Brissett more than Kyler, like you said. So it's a good spot for him. I'm going to be aligned with you on this one.
All right, what's your third pick?
The third pick, I'm going back to the well. I'm ready to get burned again. The Las Vegas Raiders. Again, I'm going back with the toilet bowl game. So I'll give people someone to watch here. The Vegas at home against Cleveland, starting what I think could be the worst quarterback. He's going to have a week of practice. We might see something different. That might have been the worst quarterback play I've ever seen, watching live. You got the intentional grounding, you got the pick, you got him staying in the pocket, just holding the ball for God knows how long. I was just waiting for a time I could bet against Shador. Again, this number is scary. 3.5. A lot of books are saying 4 now, which I like that it's moving towards Vegas. And I'm seeing a lot of public money coming in on Cleveland. So I still like it at 4. I'm going to play money line here. I got a trivia question for you on this one, Jared.
Okay.
How many quarterbacks do you think the Browns have had since 1999? Starting quarterbacks since 1999. I'll give you hints. The most in the league.
Yeah. I work with a Browns fan, and he has a shirt that lists all of them. So 1999, we're looking at 20. What's that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, go ahead.
45 or something.
It's pretty good. 41.
Okay.
41. Wow. Okay. Of those, how many have won their first game starting?
Jeez. Well, the Browns haven't won many games at all over that stretch. 3.
0 is the answer.
0.
0 is the answer. Yes.
Wow.
0. We have a first official start for a new Browns quarterback on Sunday, and we have data that says they're 0-41 in this spot. So we're going to play Vegas money line big. We're going to play the points. Again, you have injuries to the Browns offensive line. For all the reasons I said back the Browns last week at home. I said they're better on the road. I'm better at home. 4-1 against the spread at home. Now 0-5 against the spread on the road. They're on the road this week. The defense doesn't travel. They're letting like 10 more points a game on the road than they are at home. And I hate betting Geno back-to-back weeks. I hate doing it. It's not a backing. I don't think this Raiders team's good. You still have Max Crosby against a bad offensive line and Shador. I think you can see a defensive TD in this game. And I think the Cleveland defense doesn't travel. So I'm going back to the well here. I'm ready to get burned again, but I'm gonna play the money line here. I'm gonna play the points. There's just too much data against this Cleveland team. And Shador, I'm going to the Cowboys game Sunday, so I'm a little sad. I'm gonna be like, I have to see what this looks like. If it looks similar to what it looks like last week, it's gonna be fun to watch. So
I'll tell you, part of the beauty of this gives you a reason to watch the Raiders and the Browns, and it doesn't matter that both those teams suck. Someone is going to cover and someone's not going to cover, right? So I'm probably staying away from this game. But if you ask me, hey, you either got to tail or fade, I'll tell you, I'm not going to put any money in Shador Sanders. I have no reason to. Right. I feel like that would be the dumbest investment that I could possibly make. So, Vegas at least has competent NFL players on the offense, even if, it's not super impressive. And even if they didn't really do a whole lot against a Cowboys defense that's been, much maligned, although probably a little bit better now with some of the additions. I feel like this is one where I'm going to watch the game unfold on Sunday and be like, why didn't I just play the Raiders? Right. It just, when Shador's throwing the ball, in the dirt or, throwing his third interception of the game while we're just in the second quarter. I feel like this is one where I might kick myself, but I'm going to stay away. But if given the option, I would tail.
Yeah, I think it's scary. It's scary at the 3.5-4 number. If it was 3, I think you'd see a lot more sharp bettors backing Vegas. It's a little bit scary at that hook number, getting backdoored somehow, with a really, really bad team. Having more than a field goal is a little scary. But again, too good of a spot to pass up. So we will back this really bad Raiders team back-to-back weeks.
So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go back to the well, a team that burned me last week, and that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I'm seeing it at 7. For a lot of the week, it was at 6.5. To me, it's 7. I just can't pass up on this. They're on the road against the Rams. Yes, it's cross country. I don't know. The Buccaneers are beat up. They've had injuries pretty much all year. And at the beginning of the year, it really wasn't burning them. They started the year 3-0. They were 5-1 at one point, and they've really struggled since. They're 1-3 in their last 4 games. They have failed to cover in back-to-back games. But Baker's just a dog, right? He does not. He does such a good job when he is a dog, especially of more than 3 points. And I just don't see them failing to cover 3 games in a row. It's funny. I think the Rams are really good. But last week at this time, before Rams Seahawks, I would have said, yeah, I think the Rams are really good. It seems like a lot of people now are like, yeah, they're the best team in the NFL because they beat the Seahawks. But and they shut down the Seahawks offense, which has been outstanding. But on the flip side, I look at that and I'm like, all right. But they barely won, and they forced Sam Darnold to throw 4 interceptions, and they really didn't do a whole lot with it. And so Yeah, I don't know. I don't. I feel like you're going to tell me, because you have such a good pulse on this, that the pros are going to be, on the Rams side, or this is, Tampa Bay. You just stay the heck away. But you're telling me that Tampa Bay is getting a full touchdown. I don't think they're that much worse than Los Angeles. To me, this is still the same team that at one point was 5-1. They're a little more beat up. Maybe they're not the same team in that respect, but I like seeing Baker run around a little bit more last week. I know they lost, but they were also pretty close to covering Buffalo. A late game, I don't want to say unnecessary touchdown, but a late game touchdown from Josh Allen totally changed the conversation in terms of covering or not. So I'm going to take Tampa Bay. It's a Sunday night game. They're getting 7. That to me is just a little bit too much for me to pass up on.
You're seeing 7 still, or 6.5?
I'm seeing a 7 right now, and it's only juiced at -110. But I would even, I'll tell you, I would even play it at 6.5.
Okay, yeah, I would not take a position on myself. I wouldn't take a position on this. It's at 6.5. At 7, you could talk me into Tampa. You're right about the professional money coming in on the Rams. And I think it's Stafford coming off a week where they played a really good Seattle defense, and now getting this Tampa defense it looks like a get-right spot for the Rams offense, coming off a tough game where they really couldn't move the ball that well against Seattle. So you expect Stafford to play better. You expect Puka Nacua to get his in this game against Tampa defense that hasn't been that great. And they've been a different team without Bucky. That's the key. Bucky has been a key piece. It doesn't look like he's going to play in this game. Since he's been out, they've been a different offense. They're still missing other key players on the offense. So if you were at 6.5, I would not play Tampa personally. At 7.5, you could talk me into a small play. Right now, this is a stay away for me. I could see this game going a lot of different directions. So again, until I see something different from this Tampa offense, they did score a bunch against, again, Buffalo's defense is not as good as the Rams defense. And so I don't know. There'll be a lot of professional money coming on the Rams. I could see why they see this as a get-right spot against Tampa. So not fully aligned with you on this one. This is the first one you've given me that maybe not going to take it, or wait to see if I can get a better number on Tampa.
No, that makes total sense. We all have like our teams or our guys. It's like I have blind faith in this guy, even when they burn me or this team, and for whatever reason, Tampa's that for me. Now, one play I didn't mention. I like Seattle. It's a big number, 12.5. I just think Tennessee sucks. But we didn't talk about 2 good games, and I want to quickly just get your thoughts on Dallas, Philly, and then also KC, Indy. So let's start with KC, Indy. This is an interesting one, Kansas City, and you told me to stay away from Kansas City last week. I didn't listen. They did not cover against the Broncos, although if they don't have that blocked extra point, probably changes the calculus. But Kansas City's 3.5-point favorites, and you can make a case the Colts are a better team, but the Colts are going on the road to Kansas City. Kansas City desperately needs this. They're now 5-5. Where are you making a play on this one? Where do you stand on this one?
So if I make a play, it's going to be on Kansas City this week. It's just Vegas is telling me something with this number. You got a 5-5 team against an 8-2 team, and they've made this line the way it is, even with the public coming in on Indy. Public's on Indy. Again, record-wise, you would think an 8-2 team at a 5-5 team, this game would be less than a field goal. So if I can get KC at 3, I haven't played it yet. I'm going to wait and see, because there's a lot of money coming in on Indy. But there's a bunch of splits that you can find about a team with over a 70% win percentage against the team that's either 500 or worse, getting favored by more than a field goal. The team that's 500 or worse covers at an insane clip. So getting the books are telling me that KC is the right side here. From the eye perspective, I don't know why. I can't give you any reason why after watching the offense last week and what they did. You've got, maybe the Indy secondary a little bit worse than Denver. Maybe Mahomes is able to move the ball a little bit better in this game. But Haven't taken a position on this game. If I do, it's going to be KC or KC money line. I don't see KC losing this game. I think they need this game. Mahomes last year, KC was 10-1 in those close games. I remember last year it was like, the team ran insanely good during the year, got lucky in all the big spots. Mahomes late game heroics and a bunch of big spots. This year, 0-5. So it's regressed in one-score games. If I play this, like I said, I'll play KC money line. Maybe I'll play the KC -3. Probably we'll just play KC money line as we get closer to Sunday. So great game.
Yeah. No, yeah. And I don't really have right now you could convince me to play KC in 5 minutes. I could convince myself to play Indy. Like, I think Indy can run on Kansas City. Kansas City hasn't been as good as you'd expect against the run. But it's just really tough for me to play Indy knowing what we know, which, you talked about. KC needs this game. It's, it'd be a big win and a big confidence boost for Indy. And it doesn't mean they're going to lay down. It's, it's not like the team that needs to win always wins. It's really tough for me to wrap my head around KC falling to 5-6 and really like having to play catch up to get into the playoff picture. So yeah, I'm staying away right now. The other one, Dallas, Philly, this is interesting because these two teams played earlier in the year and Dallas competed well. Like, I think after that game, it was week 1, right? People were like, oh, maybe Dallas is, they're better than we think. And, maybe it was just that Philly just had no clue, what they were doing offensively. And maybe they still don't. Philly laying 3 points on the road against the Cowboys, who, the offense looks really good and they are really good at home. I think there are going to be questions about, like, is Dallas's defense legitimately better with, Quinnen Williams and Logan Wilson and then getting some guys back healthy, or were they just taking advantage of the Raiders? But it's not like Philadelphia right now is coming in, as this offensive juggernaut. They are really struggling. We're pumped about covering with Philly last week, but like I said earlier, Detroit going 0 for 5 on 4th down totally changed the complexion of that. If they convert one of those 5,
Right.
then Philly maybe doesn't cover. So I don't know. I have a tough time playing Dallas here, but I don't know that I'm jumping to play Philly either.
This is one of those weird spots where I almost feel like it might be better for the Eagles in the long run if they lose this game, where they kind of need a wake-up call, and they have the division locked up. Like, they're most likely going to get a bye. We'll see with the what happens in the AFC, but the offense needs a wake-up call. They won last week because of the defense, and getting 3.5 on the road against a really good offense. It's a lot of points. You have all the backdoors that can happen if you're up by a touchdown late or up by 10 late against a really good offense. There's a ton of sharps and public on the Cowboys, like a ton of money apparently coming in on the Cowboys. You saw this line move. It opened, I think, at 4.5. It's moved all the way down to 3.5. It might even get to 3 based on the money I'm seeing coming on the Cowboys, which I'm surprised. I have a lot of pros telling me this is the spot for the Cowboys, which I'm probably going to be a stay away on this game. I don't really want to back this Cowboys team. I do think if I was going to take a side, it'd probably be the Cowboys. But this Eagles offense, I don't know what to make of it. And I don't know what to make of the Cowboys defense yet if it's legit. We played the Raiders. Again, I backed the Raiders 2 weeks in a row. But because we look good against the Raiders doesn't mean this defense is suddenly a juggernaut and is just going to be one of the best defenses in the league. So probably a stay away. If I played it, it'd be the Cowboys. It's a home matchup, divisional matchup. 3.5's a lot for that kind of game with this Eagles offense being so clunky right now. So if I played, I'll play the Cowboys. Probably a stay away.
I'm going to tell you one thing I'm really confident in. You're not going to stay away. You're going to the game. You're going to have something. I know you're
well,
we could have
over-under bets. We could have some live bets based on – if I get the, something I see live that gives me a little bit of a read, we may make a live bet on the side, or, if the Cowboys go down by 14, maybe we take the Cowboys live. So yeah, you're right. Yeah. I'll probably play something in this game, but
as of now, you're not
pre-kickoff, I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. So Zach is on Cincy, we'll call +6, Pitt +3, Vegas -3.5. My 3, the Lions laying 10.5, the Cardinals getting 3, and the Bucks, we'll call it getting 6.5. We'll circle back next Thursday, see how we did, and then get you ready for Week 13. If you are watching this on replay, we're going to try and do this live every week. So if you want to join in and ask any questions, you're welcome to do so. We'd appreciate if you liked and subscribed or did whatever you do with the YouTube stuff. I should know that stuff. I just don't. But this is the Betting Booth with Zach Barron and Jared Sandler. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.